We'll be spending time today talking to you a little bit about digital security and how things are shaping out over let's say current day and age versus where things were a few years ago. Specifically, we'll be looking at one of the products within the Microsoft family called ATA that can help increase your security posture as a business, and I think help really firm up your defenses, so to speak, digitally. That will include a live demo for those that are so inclined that we'll have near the end. And we also have with us some folks from Microsoft just to make sure we're able to answer any questions that you folks may have, and to make sure this is as interactive as possible. This is almost like the obligatory slide, I think, when it comes to security webinars and kind of the state of the union where it sits right now. So just, your typical scary statistics as it relates to cybersecurity. I don't know that this needs to be overplayed or overstated in any way, but where things sit right now, there are more and more breaches that are occurring every day. They are in the news all the time. I just heard last week that HBO was compromised and that some Game of Thrones episodes or content might be leaked, and I know that there are certain other contexts within HBO that were put at risk. And I think those attacks, while the frequency and the cadence of them are going to increase, and the impact of them as well are going to increase. And one of the ones, if I were to pick out one number here that really sticks out, it's that 243, the first box that really describes, when we talk to customers, just how long are they kind of in your house, so to speak, before you even realize that they're there. Over 243 days is the average length of time that your system is compromised before you actually are even able to tell that they're there. And why is that happening? I think part of the challenge is that traditional IT tools just aren't up to par. Really that the traditional security products are very complex. They require fine-tuning and rules and thresholds and a lot of configuration that you really need a security expert to configure to get right. And they're also very prone to false positives in the sense that a lot of what the information that you get and a lot of the feedback you get from these tools tends to be noise, and you can't necessarily always trust what you get in the sense, or is this actually telling me that I've been compromised? Is this telling me that there's something in between, or do I need to check? And what ends up happening is, it's kind of the boy who cried wolf. You just don't know, what's real and what's not. And I think this last piece here, this designed to protect the perimeter, this is really where, where I think things sit. And when I talk to people, it's interesting where organizations still kind of feel, not all of them, but some of them feel that, I'm protected, I have a firewall, I leverage antivirus, and I patch my machines. And those are all great, those are all required, but security really is like an onion right now where you really want to protect yourself via layers of protection. And one of the challenges with the traditional, perimeter-based protection is that, quite often that's not how you're compromised. Quite often it's compromise happens through your users, and especially users that have elevated privileges, and it's through these people that basically have the keys to your kingdom that they're able to, breach your organization and use those to elevate themselves in terms of privilege perspective and implement some harm to your business. So this really does happen now. It happens to everybody. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter how large you are. It doesn't matter how sophisticated you are. Every single customer, and this sounds really scary. It's a big, bold statement here. But every single customer, regardless of industry, is either under attack or already breached. And while that might not be 100% true, I think for you to truly be secure or build yourself up to be a secure organization, this is how you need to operate. Security needs to be pervasive through your thought processes and needs to be inclusive of all of the things that you're deploying inside of your environment. It needs to almost be second nature because, if it isn't, there are some negative consequences. And why I say that, so actually before I jump here, the first slide that I had in terms of sobering statistics, I don't know if you remember it, it actually talked about what the average cost of a breach was, and it said some big scary, I think it was $3.5 million, and obviously a lot of these numbers are from American surveys and data that might not necessarily be relevant to Canadian organizations. And depending on how large you are as an organization and what you do from a business perspective, the impact might not be that great. So I get the feedback sometimes that, well, all of that stuff happens to big organizations down in the States or international global companies, and this just can't happen to us. And so what I thought might be interesting is to kind of describe and talk through, what one of our customers here in Toronto, kind of went through. And so just to give you an idea, this is the customer in question that we work with. They're, let's say, a mid-sized not-for-profit. They're operating out of Toronto. They're in the midst of a merger with another not-for-profit. And so, right off the bat, you think not-for-profit, not a target, because they just don't have money, right? Within this organization, they had a number of users that had elevated privileges, and basically what happened was, in that instance, one of the things that would have stopped that, not stopped that, but at least alerted and notified, the organization at the time of breach, is something here that I'm going to talk about today with Steve called Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics. So what Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics is it's a platform that sits and works within Active Directory, within your organizational identity system. It leverages behavioral analytics and detection of advanced security risks to provide an advanced threat protection. So basically what it does is it uses things like machine learning, so similar in the sense for a credit card, where it will, your credit card company probably knows more about you than you want them to know, but they understand trends, they know where you shop, they know what you typically buy, how much you spend, when you spend it, so that when there is a transaction or something that's out of normal, that the credit card companies are actually able to identify that. This operates in that same capacity in the sense where there's this tool is analyzing all of your logins and all of your accounts that sit within your organization, and it applies machine learning and intelligence to figure out what's normal and what's not, and it can alert you when it finds things that are not normal.